This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jim Schaller.
Welcome, good neighbors, to episode number 17 on the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. Today we have good neighbor Bill Anthony from Premier Martial Arts in Bonita Springs. Bill, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Jim, thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's always good to know and get to know people here in the community locally. Why don't we just start off by sharing a little bit about Premier Martial Arts and what you guys do?
Sure. Well, Premier Martial Arts is a martial arts studio. It is actually a franchise. There are over 200 and some locations open across the country. So we are nationwide and actually in the UK as well. We are a blended martial art, meaning we just don't focus on one martial art. We specialize in some self-defense techniques, namely Krav Maga, which is Israeli self-defense, but also teach Taekwondo, karate, and kickboxing are our specialties. We throw in some jiu-jitsu and throw in some Aikido as well, really make it a well-rounded martial artist so that they can properly defend themselves, but also has a sport aspect where we do tournaments and they can work in those tournaments as well to display what they've already learned.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, is there an age limit, maximum or minimum?
Well, there's a minimum limit in terms of age. I think it's what you're asking, and the minimum is 3 years old, right?
Okay.
We have a good, healthy student base of 3 and 4 year olds. We break it down by groups by age. So 3 and 4 year olds, which are our tiny champs, 5 to 7 year olds, which are our little champs, 8 to 12 year olds, which are just our champs, and then our teen adults. So there is no upper limit. Our oldest member right now is 76 years old. She's been with us about a little over a year, doing fantastic. Says to us it's one of the best things she's done in her life. Obviously offers her the physicality of being out there and exercising and staying mobile, while also learning true techniques that you can use in the world if someone were to assault her.
That is great. That is great. Never too old, right?
Never too old. Never too old.
There we go. So how did you get involved in martial arts to begin with, I guess?
So I have a martial arts background. I've been doing martial arts for over 30 years. I trained in Aikido, which is something we don't necessarily specialize in. I do use Aikido techniques to show predominantly my teens and adults. A little more sophisticated. The self-defense itself, why I purchased this franchise, is it really is empowering lives through martial arts, giving back to the community, but using a technique where you use gross motor skills. Most people, if they've ever been in a fight, hopefully most people haven't been in a fight, but if you are, you become a little disoriented, you start to hyperventilate, you lose your focus. Using fine motor skills on some high-end martial arts like Aikido or Jiu-Jitsu becomes tough if you haven't continuously practiced it. So the Krav Maga gives a real special forces self-defense technique, which is a gross motor skill, which is easy to learn. And in that adrenaline rush situation, you don't lose that motor functionality. So when I picked this martial art to do as far as a business, I thought really it offered the best of both worlds for everyone wanting that true self-defense, but also wanting that sport aspect where they wanted to compete in competitions.
That is awesome. So have you, I guess what I want to ask is, are there any myths or misconceptions within the martial arts industry that people maybe scare people a little bit, or maybe they get wrong?
There is, one of the questions we predominantly get. So I have a lead trainer. I also train on the mat as well. One of the questions we predominantly get is, what's the best martial art? There really is no one best martial art. What I like to tell my students, if all the world of martial arts fit into a thimble, and you had that thimble that was full to the top, and that was the entire world of martial arts, that my instructor and I together don't even cover the bottom of that thimble, right? One of the things that martial artists they get to their black belt, is like, I'm done. No, you're always continuing this journey. One of the things we like to talk about is a beginner's mind. No matter what belt level you are, how advanced you are in martial arts, approach it with a beginner's mind, meaning I'm just learning this for the first time. I can always improve my technique. I can always improve any aspect of what I'm doing, whether it's the actual technique itself, the speed that I execute on it, the power, the focus that I deliver on it, which is really good. Martial arts in general, especially for our children who are there, they are learning concentration, focus, self-discipline, real world things that they take beyond martial arts, right? So Martial arts isn't something you just practice in the studio, and that could be a common misconception. It's something you take with you as a life skill.
That is, yes, and that's the important part of it too. Is it's used in other ways, and what you're learning is incorporated into your life moving forward. That's great. Now, we've all been through some type of, I'm going to say, hardship or maybe challenge that's kind of shaped us. Was there something particular that's maybe stood out for you?
Well, we're all in Southwest Florida. We had this little storm come by last year called Ian. Really challenging for a business that had only been open since really March of that year. We did our pre-sales. We opened in April was our grand opening, and come September, Ian drops by, and Category 5 hurricane drops on us.
Wow.
In Bonita, we lost power for 10 days. We were able to reopen, no damage to the studio, which was fantastic. The hardship was reaching out to our members, making sure they were safe, they were okay. We had many members who lost their businesses, they were self-employed, or lost their jobs because those businesses were blown away, washed away, lost their homes, lost their cars. So from a personal perspective, reaching out to them, make sure everybody was safe was a big concern for us, and not necessarily a hardship. The hardship was that many of our members, we were close to 100 members at the time, lost 30 members very quickly because they had lost everything. So it was heart wrenching. And then rebuilding the business from a business perspective, truly just rebuilding the business from that point forward, because the area, we're still going through it, right? There's still a lot of devastation. We have a lot of members that are on Fort Myers Beach, Bonita Springs area, Estero, which were all hit hard. So we're working through that from a business perspective and making sure people remain safe, have what they need, reached out community-wise to help people rebuild their lives is one of the things we did.
Yeah, that's been devastating for a lot of people, and but what Southwest Florida is getting back on its feet and moving forward, which is great to see.
Absolutely.
Now, are you from this area originally, or?
No, you can probably hear it in the voice. I'm not from this area.
Right.
I grew up
It's
in New
just, uh,
Jersey. We moved
right.
here 5 years ago. Love the area. We actually live in Fort Myers. We're down closer to Sanibel, so we were pretty much that third point of the triangle that got hit.
Yep.
We had in my backyard, I had an 18-foot surge. So our house, fortunately, was built in 2018. We didn't get hit by that. But yeah, we're local now. We've been down here for 5 years. Love the area. Researched it heavily before we moved down here, and again looked at various franchise opportunities and just thought this was great to give back to the community. It's a great service. I actually purchased 4 locations, 3 which are not open, which will be opening hopefully in the next year to 2 years. Estero, Fort Myers, and Cape Coral.
That's great. That's great. And Southwest Florida is such a great area. It's growing just like all of Florida is, of course, but especially the Bonita Springs, the Estero area that is just seen some great growth and some great new people moving in, and small businesses such as yourself. Now, I guess what do you do outside of work? I mean, you moved to Florida for a reason. Do you get out and enjoy the weather a little bit,
Well,
or?
I do enjoy the weather. So my boat, fortunately, was unscathed during Ian. So I like to fish. I just like cruising around sometimes. So we do that. We try and enjoy the areas around here. My wife and I frequent Lakes Park just to take long walks through Lakes Park, which is fantastic. The park system here is absolutely unbelievable in what's afforded to people to be able to go use those systems. We like to go to the beach. We like to go watch sunsets at Bowman's Beach over on Sanibel, right? So I think what the locals do here, we do. We love it. That's one of the reasons we came down to Southwest Florida. We wanted to get away from the hustle and bustle of the Northeast, which is why we didn't move to the East Coast of Florida. It's just bad over there. Like it down here. Get a little chuckle when people wait through 3 traffic lights and think they've waited a long time. So I'm very patient with that. 3 traffic lights is nothing. So,
Right. Yeah, I'm from the Midwest originally, so Chicago traffic, same thing.
you
It's
know,
just like, yeah, like traffic down here is nothing, but
no,
it is a lot worse than it was many years ago, but it's still nothing compared to what it is up north.
absolutely.
Um, so is there something else that people should know about Premier Martial Arts that maybe they don't know that our listeners would should know?
Well, I think the fact that we are a franchise, we have a headquarters, so we have support behind it. So while we have that mom and pop feel when you come in, my wife and I are there. We're the owners. You see us all the time, which is fantastic. But we have the support of a headquarters and an organization behind us. our instructors, including myself, are continuously trained. So we just don't rest on our laurels talking about that beginner's mind. We're always going to tournaments ourselves. We are actually participating in active training through Premier Martial Arts headquarters. We do regional tournaments for our students that lead all the way up to national tournaments. We do offer, besides the hand techniques, we have a couple level of trainings. When you get past the hand techniques, you can move into our black belt training. Our black belt training includes weapons. Those weapons are the eskrima stick, a bow staff, and nunchucks for the kids. The adults have an option of doing those weapons as well, or learning knife and gun defense, which we typically do with all the adults regardless, so that they understand how to defend themselves from those types of attacks. We have a level beyond that, which goes into our Premier Martial Arts training, which you have to achieve a purple belt first for. With that, you would do double nunchuck, so left and right hand simultaneously. You do more tricks with your bow staff and then have a high-speed bow staff. It's a light graphite bow staff or aluminum composite, which moves much quicker. You also learn sword techniques, so you'll work with a sword. And you also learn kamas. Kamas are shaped like a sickle if you were cutting down grass with a sickle. So it's 2 sickles, one left hand, one right hand. So we do offer the weapons training. We specialize in that. So it's very diverse in what we do offer in that.
That is, and then that's great. That's more than I thought. When I think of martial arts, more, and it's great that you have the corporate backing and structure as well too. That just allows you to do more and offer more and be, more. I'm going to say better for the students as well. So.
It is. It has that support and continued education through it. It offers a career path not only for my instructor and my program director, but also career paths for our students, right? Because while we're mom and pop and have that, if they wanted to grow, you see franchises do this all the time, like a Jersey Mike's advertising. Hey, I started it, but my franchisee, my employees now own a franchise. Same concept here, where there's an opportunity to make a career out of this. My instructor started with me when he was 20 years old. He's 22 now. He actually describes this to his students, our students, as his dream job. He loves it, absolutely loves it. He had started martial arts when he was 3. So he's been doing martial arts quite a long time himself.
You got to love what you do. That's the end of the day. That's the important part. Well, Bill, appreciate you coming by today and sharing your story and a little bit more about Premier Martial Arts. How would our listeners get a hold of you if they'd like to learn more?
Sure. So we are actually located on Bonita Beach Road, south, behind, I'll give a little plug for Guanamia, behind the Guanamia, the Springs Shopping Center. They can call us directly at 239-799-7350. Our email address is bonitapma, Paul Michael Alpha, at gmail.com. So they can either call us, come in, stop by. Our hours are 3 to 9 o'clock. They're welcome to just stop in. Our students train 2 days a week, and our class size is limited. So we think of a more boutique type of martial arts studio. We limit our class sizes depending on the age. Our mat size will hold on average about 18 to 20 people. We've limited it to 16 people in the class. So there's plenty of room on the mat, individualized instruction. And then we bring in some of our senior adults, when I say senior, tenured in martial arts, to assist in some of the classes when we get a larger class, so that our ratio of teachers to students remains at something where like a 5-to-1 or a 6-to-1 ratio. So even if there are 18 students on the class, there's enough instructors in there making sure that they understand the concepts and are executing them, and we can answer any questions that they have.
Very good. Very good. Hey, Bill, thank you for being such a good neighbor. And it was a pleasure getting to know you today. And we'll see you out there in the community. Okay.
Hey, Jim, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to a lot of good things coming.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com or call 239-296-2621.